Alright, 8th grade. I said I would give you a video explaining how to do number 9, and I'm going to do that and then some. We're going to do number 9 together, and then I'm going to give you some help on how to do the homework I gave out tonight. And if you're watching this video, good for you, because you'll know before everybody else that the homework I gave out tonight, I'm not going to collect until Thursday. So with number 9 on page 87, I think the trick is pulling the relevant information out of the words. So we've got our equation, we've got our table, and then we need to read it. It says that D is the distance in feet and F is the friction factor. And if we keep reading, it says the police measured a skid mark of 90 feet on a dry concrete road. So I'm going to go into my equation and I'm going to say S is equal to the square root of 30 and then 90 feet. So where that D is, I just learned something very helpful. I learned by reading the problem that D is equal to 90 feet. So I'll write that in red there. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to exchange that D for 90. And it says 90 feet on a dry concrete road. So I'm going to go to my table, looking at the book. Dry concrete road was this spot in the box, 0.8. So I know that F, my friction factor, is equal to 0.8. So I'll go up here to my equation and I'll substitute in 0.8. Now, you can do this longhand, you can use a calculator, but before you do anything, I want you to multiply everything under the square root together first. These numbers right next to each other with parentheses is telling you do multiplication. So I'm going to get a calculator and I'm going to punch in 30 times 90 times 0.8, and that gives me 2160, all under the radical, is equal to speed, S. Remember, S is equal to speed in this problem. Now the question is, if the speed limit is 35 miles per hour, was the car speeding? Explain. So we need to know, is the square root of 2160 greater than or less than 35 miles per hour? Again, we're going to go straight to the calculator, use the square root feature, 2160, enter, and I get approximately, the speed is approximately 46.4758, and then there's more numbers after the decimal. But all I really care about is this number out in front, the 46. Is that number greater than or less than 35? Clearly it's greater than, so we can say for sure the car was speeding. Now for you this might seem confusing, for me this is fun. We got to take a problem apart, think about it, use some math to answer a question. So we'll do more practice like this as the year goes on. The better you get at word problems, the better you get at thinking, the better off you're going to be. Alright, now I'd like to give you some examples from the homework. I had you tear out page 29 and 30, and I expect that done by the start of class on Thursday, but I gave it to you for homework tonight, so I'm going to give you some examples. 1, 2, 9, and 10 of how to go about converting fractions to decimals and decimals to fraction. So number 1 is 2/5. You can always type into a calculator 2 divided by 5, or you can use your brain and do 2 divided by 5, add a decimal and some zeros. Bring that decimal point straight up. 5 does not go into 2, so put a 0 there. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract, we get a 0, and we are done. You could write zeros forever there if you want to, but you don't have to, and it's kind of a waste of time. This is our answer. 2/5 is equal to 4/10 or 0.4. Divide the numerator by the denominator. That's the key. Moving on to number 2, we've got 2 and 1/8. We're going to do the exact same thing. You've got two choices. You can convert this to an improper fraction. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. That's 17/8. And then go do the exact same thing we did in the first problem. Divide 17 by 8. Numerator goes on the inside, denominator goes on the outside, add a decimal, and 3 zeros is usually enough. Decimal comes straight up. 8 goes into 17 twice. 2 times 8, 16. Subtract 1, bring down a 0. 8 goes into 10 once. 8. Subtract, get a 2, bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 8, 16. Subtract, bring down the 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. Final answer. Another option. I'm going to do it a different way that I think is easier. Now, doing everything that way is just fine, but I want you to notice that the whole part right here, the 2 out front, didn't change. So if we wanted to make our lives a little easier, we could just come over here and we could write the 2 and then only convert the 1/8. Divide the 8 by the 1, add a decimal and some zeros. Bring that decimal straight up. 8 won't go into 1. 8 goes into 10, and we're going to get this value right here. 1 times 8. Subtract. Bring down the 0. 2. Multiply, subtract. 4. Bring down the 0. 5. And then I'll come over here and I will tack on that fractional part. So we got the same thing. I hope that's not too confusing for you. We'll get plenty of time to practice that in class. So here for number 9, we've got negative 7.32. Now the trick to this is to recognize the proper way to say 0.32 is 32 hundredths. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say 32 hundredths. And I'm going to bring my 7 right out front. Just like in the last problem, the leading number is going to be the same. It's only the fractional portion that we're converting. And of course, since it was negative 7, I've got to bring a negative 7 over here. Now all we've got to do is reduce 32 over 100. And you can divide by 2 each time. And that'll be 16 over 50. Divide by 2 again, which means we could have divided by 4 from the get-go if we wanted to. 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. I'm on the edge of my screen there, so I will come over and write it just like this. That's a final answer. So just working on conversions, not even worrying about order just yet. And number 10, we've got decimal 2 repeating. So I'm going to show you a little trick. There's number 10. Let's make up this one, decimal 2 1 repeating. And let's make up another one over here, decimal 2 1 0 repeating. The repeating decimals are all about dividing by 9. This is 2 tenths repeating. There's only 1 2, so that's 2 ninths. 21 repeating. There's 1 2 digits, so that's 21 over 99. 2 1 0 repeating. 1 2 3 digits. So divided by 999, 1, 2, 3 nines. Now be careful because sometimes these reduce. And this is a great example of a reduction right here. 21 can be divided by 3 and 99 can be divided by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 99 divided by 3 is 33. But that's all you need to know if you're converting the repeating decimals into fractions. I certainly hope that helps. We're going to spend all day tomorrow practicing our conversions, and then on Thursday we'll begin to look at finding decimal equivalents of square roots.